Hi, so, okay, so I'm going to be recording a number of videos today, but start off with what we do every week. And again, apologies for the volume if you can't hear me as well as normal. Microphone's basically on the fritz, so I'm having to use my phone microphone, so I don't know if it'll be as good. But yeah, so we'll start with, with me pulling things off my tongue. As you do. But yeah, we'll be looking at the weekly comic haul and review them. So let's start. We'll do it by. That's going to be really interesting footage for you, unless you've got a fetish for people playing with the lips. Do you ever get like a phantom hair and you can't find it on your face? That's what I was having. But that's by the by. So what, I'm just going to separate them. This is so ill prepared today. I'm not normally this bad, am I? Don't answer that. Okay. So I'm just going to say so quite a few times just to pass the time. So anyway, so okay. So I've now got them into publishers. I will start with Marvel. Only 2 issues from Marvel, these 2. So the first one, X-Men number 4. I didn't choose this cover. It was just this was the one that I put in my box. I've got to say this before I do the review. So it's a nice cover. J. Scott Campbell, the Ice Queen. Annoys me though with Marvel when they do these variants. They always have characters that aren't actually in the comic itself. At least match up the variant covers to what the comic is. But I mean, she's in Uncanny X-Men, not X-Men. That just kind of niggles me. My OCD brain can't cope with that. Apart from that, very pretty. And I like how the logo's behind like that. I was eating my tea while I was reading this. And I had mayonnaise on a sandwich. I wasn't just having a mayonnaise sandwich, I was having like a chicken. You don't need to know what I was eating, but anyway. So as you can see with this cover, really nice. And there's the reflection of a head there. I thought I'd spilt some mayonnaise on the cover. So for about 10 minutes I was frantically scratching and scrubbing that, trying to get this mayonnaise stain off the cover, when it's just a reflection of her hair. Don't grow old. It's not good. So this is issue 4 of X-Men by Jed MacKay writing. It's Marvel, so they can only have the big name artist on for a few issues. So it's now 4th issue is now by Nefo Diaz with inks by Sean Parsons, colorist Marty Gracia, letters Clayton Cowles. The art's okay. It's I was going to show you an advert. That's what I hate about Marvel. Adverts on virtually every other page. It looks actually like a cleaner version of Ryan Stegman. This artist does a better beast than Ryan Stegman. I will say that. But I don't know. It's not bad and it's not good. It's just I don't know. And I'm only carrying on with it because the annoying thing is they're already planning a crossover between this and Uncanny in December and January. So I've got to stick on with it for that long. I mean, I do like this artist how he draws the Juggernaut. It's like a cleaner Ryan Stegman. I don't know what Ryan Stegman's doing with this comic, but it feels muddy and cluttered. So on the plus side, I do prefer this artist. That might be an unpopular opinion, but the writing doesn't feel very X-Men. There's not the X-Men angst or sense of threat, and it's some of the silly mannerisms. Like some of the characters just act out of character. I don't think Jed MacKay's got a good handle on the personalities of the X-Men. Magic doesn't feel like magic, put it that way. Beast, sometimes he nails Beast on her, but other times it's like, what? And it feels like there's just fights for fight's sake. I know some people say, "Oh, I hate a comic when it's just talking heads, whatever." But I also hate a comic when it's just fighting for fighting's sake, when it's the thinnest of plot points to make everybody fight. and that's what it feels like. It doesn't feel like this is meant to be a top tier comic. It's it's they're really giving a big push. Like the X Men are back. You've got them as you want them. No, you've not. This is like an echo of what an X Men comic should be. They just like throwing things in. Sorry, really snotty today. They're just throwing things in that they think people will like and hoping that some of them will land. Some do, but a lot of them just hit the wall and just slide down. I'll give this 6 out of 10. If it improves, I'll be honest, say yeah, it's great. I'm into it. But at present, I am only going to be getting it until the crossover, and then I'll drop it after the crossover. Uncanny X-Men is far, far stronger than this, so 6 out of 10 for this one. And then we have, this will surprise you, this is Deadpool, number 6. This is my favourite Marvel comic in ages. Forget the Ultimates, forget Uncanny X-Men, forget all the other ones. This is my favourite one. First issue, I didn't like it that much. Second issue, it clinched it for me. It felt like Cody Ziegler got the beats right. He manages to splice perfectly humour with action and also pathos. Where that's a really hard thing to do, is pathos where you can have a sad scene but make it funny at the same time. And he does say it's a comic with a lot of heart. He's really humanised Deadpool. Deadpool's just not a two-dimensional cartoon character anymore. And I like the interplay. Normally I hate when introduce like families and a lot, but I like the interplay between his two daughters, the dog of course, and I've forgotten what his other daughter's called, but her anyway. So now she's been given given her own Deadpool costume. Something happens in Deadpool. I hear this has become quite a hot comic now because of what happens to Deadpool. Let's just say you'll be seeing a lot more of his daughter. But it doesn't feel like one of those cliched, we're going to push a junior character onto a title. It works really well. The last time this worked well was years ago with The Death of Superman, when they brought out all the different Supermen. That's what this feels like. It feels like a good evolution. You know it's not going to be the status quo. It's not going to be like that forever. It's just for this really good story device what he's doing. And the dialogue's great. Still love the bromance between Wade and Taskmaster. And I love this art. It's not fantastic, but it's solid. It's dependable. Each character looks different, and they don't change from issue to issue. They stay consistent in what the character should look like, and it's good comic art. He's one of the better all-rounders for a Marvel comic, and I don't think they've had a fill-in artist, or if they have, it might have just been for half an issue or something. Which by 6 issues for Marvel is very good going. And I don't like Miles Morales. I don't like Cody Ziegler and Miles Morales, but I think that's more because there's so many crossovers. But when he's allowed to just run riot on a comic and just not have any interference, he creates a diamond out of coal. Because I normally hate Deadpool, but I'm loving this, and I'm actually loving Deadpool. So I'm going to give this 9 out of 10. I do recommend you pick this up. So that's my 2 Marvel comics. Got those out of the way. So we'll now move on to DC, and it's apart from the dip with the X-Men, which wasn't a negative, it's just a don't know. It's been a good week, so took a good weeks. Hellblazer, Dead in America, number 9. The normal art team of Aaron Campbell and colours by Jody Blair are back on. So it's continuing his trek through America. It's now looking at Hollywood in America, and it's a fantastic piss take of how weird Hollywood is. But it goes very meta. They basically do a film about John Constantine. So this guy auditions to be like take the role of John Constantine, and things happen, and John Constantine's like pulling the strings on everything behind it, and it's hard. Can't even really describe it, because it's just it really is one of the most out there plot devices I've read in a comic in a long time, but in a weird, warped way, it makes sense, and the artwork is just fucking amazing. Absolutely gorgeous. What upsets me though, 2 more issues, and then apparently that's it. It's only gone up to 11 issues. Initially I think it's going to be 8 issues or 9 issues, but they got an extension. Hopefully, like with Poison Ivy, there's a big enough fan interest that they decide to make it a continuous one or just relaunch it again, do a soft reboot. But yeah, fantastic. 9 out of 10. Highly recommend this. If you don't have it already, get the collected editions when they come out. And another one which I'm loving is Dark Knights of Steel All Winter. This is written by Jay Kristoff, who's done he's a predominantly he's known as a novelist, as a fantasy novelist, dark fantasy, and he's perfect for this because this is Dark Knights of Steel universe, but in more like a Viking setting. So this is Deathstroke in this universe, and he's a no-nonsense Viking warrior. And then there's this young boy who's called Alec, and he's got powers of the green. Alexei, if you're a fan of the writers of Alan Moore and Ram V, you'll know which character it is. But the artwork is stunning. I love how they play with basically all the colour has been sucked out of the world, and the only one who's got colour is this young boy because he powers the green. And so this is this big mystery. What is this boy? What is this power that he holds? But it's so effective how they use black and white. The artwork by Terso is absolutely beautiful. So you have suddenly like this burst of colour, and it's so dynamic and breathtaking, and it really invests you even further in the story. And there's an appearance by Bruce Wayne, who's got the powers of Superman. Clever twist. It's fantastic. I didn't think this would be any good when I first got it because it's an unknown quality. Sometimes novelists can be great in comics, sometimes they just don't know how to write in the format of a comic. But Jay Kristoff is knocking it out of the park. I think he's close friends with Tom Taylor anyway. And there's a backup by Tom Taylor focusing on the Kents and a young baby called Arthur, whose mother came from Atlantis. And the artwork by Riccardo Federici is absolutely gorgeous. If you're missing out on this, there's only 3 issues so far. You are missing out on a really gorgeous fantasy comic. It is amazing. Yeah, absolutely. I'm enjoying all the Elseworld books. I don't like multiverse books or anything like that really, but I do like Elseworlds because they're not saying, oh, it's a parallel universe. They're just saying this could happen, this could be another world. And that's what I like about it. But yeah, 9 out of 10. Quality book. And what I do love about DC for a lot of stuff like this, $4.99, you get 30 story pages. Can't complain. No, can't complain about this. I mean, this is $4.99 and it's 21 story pages. Bit of more of a Marvel tactic than a DC one, so it is a bit odd that they've always done that with this. But I cannot complain about the art from the cover to the interior artwork. So you've got Jamal Campbell just doing outstanding, beautiful artwork on Superman. Fantastic story by Josh Williamson. So basically, Superman's looking for magic. He's had all his powers stripped, and he's with Satana. And I didn't think it'd be a team up that works, but it really does. And it ties in perfectly with Absolute Zero. Absolute Power, I mean. Yeah, it's great. Even without powers, Superman is still Superman. That's not what defines him. It's his spirit, his personality. And I think that's what's been a clever use of the character of Superman with this whole event, is that they're basically saying the powers don't define you. Who you are is what defines you, which is what a very clever story trope what's not really been explored a lot in comics of these, especially with DC heroes, because they're normally bigger and bit grander than Marvel ones. So they kind of humanise them and just saying this is who we are. Yeah, and it's great. I really loved this comic. I've really not told you much about the plot, but because once you experience it for yourself, they're basically trying to get what they can to fight back against Amanda Waller. Like I said, Satana needs to get her magic back. He wants to get his powers back, and yeah, it's so satisfying, and it's so nice to see Jamal Campbell back on the artwork interior and on the cover. That cover is just gorgeous. So 8 out of 10. Then we stop for a drink of Cherryade. which is weird. I've not had an alcoholic drink since I recorded a video back in early July when I was a bit tipsy. And I've not missed it, so who knows, maybe I never will again, but who's that? I do enjoy drinking, but it's not essential for me. Reason being is, I always think, yeah, I could get a few drinks, or I could get another 2 comics, and that's what I do. So I got Oni's continuation of the EC line, so this is Episodes from the Abyss, number 3. I know on Pop Culture Philosophers, Rockin' Robbie hated this comic, and he keeps on saying this thing about, it should be the artist, it should be the artist, but I'm thinking, I've got quite a few of the EC Tales of Terror, and some of the art ain't that great. It's just that they become legendary now because we're looking at art from about 60, 70 years ago, and so they've now become comic legends, but some of the art was not good. And I think you forget that, you get nostalgic, you get misty-eyed. And saying that, I think the art in this is amazing. Just because they're not all massive tier artists, they're still very well known. I mean, for instance, you've got Charlie Adlard, who I love, of Walking Dead fame, and done loads of stuff for 2000 AD. Leah Max, who's an amazing artist, and Jonathan Case, who's a very talented artist as well. And then you've got writing by Jay Stevens, who did that series recently, that cartoon horror series for Oni, what I've forgotten the name of. And Karina Becco, never heard of her before. And Chris Condon, who's one of my favourite modern writers. So the first story is about this woman who works in the morgue, and she looks very much like the actress from Russian Doll. And I enjoyed it. It was a blast. She's not a likeable person at all. And she kind of gets fixated on this corpse, which is kind of like... And so she brings him home and things happen. And of course, being an EC story, there's always a twist upon a twist, and it's a very satisfying ending. But like I said, the artwork in this one is it's just beautiful. Yeah, really enjoyed that story. I enjoyed the artwork in the second one, Blood Type, but the story was a bit flimsy, I must admit. But it wasn't boring, and it's an anthology, so you're not always going to get... Each one's not going to be a gold star story, but it was enjoyable. It wasn't dislikable, but the other stories were just stronger than it. And then the last story, Crossroads of Repetition, was by Charlie Adlard and Chris Condon. And this was a really good, almost like... It was a supernatural story based on the old Crossroads legend about selling your soul at the crossroads. You know, the blues player. And really satisfying twist at the end. Yeah, loved it. Pitch perfect setting in the 70s as well. Fantastic story. Yeah, so I would give this 8 out of 10. I'm really enjoying this and the Cruel Universe title. I love anthology comics. As I've mentioned before, in the UK we have 2000 AD. A lot of the comics we've had have always been anthology ones where you get short stories each week. So this, for me, is what I'm used to reading. And then, yeah, absolutely love it. 8 out of 10. And, well, if you want a headfuck, read Paranoid Gardens. Fantastic. It's the art by Chris Weston, who I've sung his praises before because I first came to know him through 2000 AD. That's where he made his name, and he moved on to Vertigo, and now he's on here. And he's just wonderful. He can make the mundane just seem so interesting, even though this mundane world is peppered with weird and unusual characters. I've been thinking about how would I describe this, and I want to describe it as a comic for influences. What it reminds me of, it's like a blend of Twin Peaks, especially the Twin Peaks maxi series that was out a few years back, and Kingdom, which was, I think it was a Danish horror series set in a hospital, and with hints of like the X-Files. Things are all just slightly off kilter and very, very weird, just for the sake of being weird, I think. And that's why I got the Kingdom vibes from it. So I don't mean the Korean one from Netflix, but it's a Danish hospital, like supernatural kind of story, which was really, really good. I do recommend checking it out. and the artwork is just a delight. But bits of it make sense, but by bits I mean like 10%, 90% doesn't. But I don't care. I'm just here for the ride, and it's a wonderful psychedelic head fuck of a trip, which doesn't cause me any pain. It just gets my little pleasure nodes in my brain sparking and really enjoying the story. Yeah, I love it. Gerard Way is a really fun writer. He's another nonsense writer like Grant Morrison who makes nonsense appealing and fun. And the artwork by Chris Weston is just absolutely jaw-droppingly gorgeous. So 9 out of 10, an essential buy. Talking of gorgeous jaw-dropping artwork, we've got Helen of Windhorn. I thought my comic I'd never get the issue for, but it came into our shop eventually. And Bilquis Everly is probably one of the best artists in comics at the moment. She's like a blend of Charles Vess, Mike Kaluta, and P. Craig Russell. If you added all those elements together, you would come up with Bilquis. That's the only comparison I could give. She's not modern in style at all. She's got a very classic 70s, 80s, epic illustrated, heavy metal kind of style to her artwork. It's a refreshing change of pace to what you normally see in American comics nowadays. Very, very European flavour. Very unique and so much fun to read. I always leave this comic to near the last because it's not one that you can just pick up and read. It's Tom King overdosing on purple prose, as he does like to do occasionally. But in this comic, it works. It works perfectly. It fits the whole mood of the comic. It's a heightened, romantic, fantasy story. It's what we call it slipstream, where there's parallel stories going on, and it's great. So she's encountered this world where her granddad disappeared to. He's basically like John Carter of Mars, kind of thing, where he just disappears for time upon time, then comes back to our Earth. She's had adventures with him, but things happen in this issue where things sour, and it's good, and your heart bleeds for Helen. It really does. It's a fun ride. There's only 2 issues going, and it'd be interesting to see how this does wrap up. I'll give this artwork 10 out of 10, story 8 out of 10. And then we have another very beautiful, pretty comic, but completely different style, power fantasy. Artwork by Caspar Wingard, story by Kieran Gillen. What really annoyed me though, it's just pretentious for the sake of pretension. So you got this, you got this, you got this. It's too Jonathan Hickman. I just groan about that. It doesn't serve any purpose. It's more content, less style, please. I enjoyed the first issue. It really clicks with me out. I've said, if remember, I said it clicks about halfway through. This one just feels like it's just picking up the pieces of the first issue, and doesn't really propel it much further. A lot of this comic could have been condensed into 10 pages, and then another 10 pages or 11 pages of story put on it afterwards. That's my only gripe. The artwork is still beautiful, but Kieran Gillen sometimes, like Jonathan Hickman, can be a bit pretentious for the sake of pretension, and that's what I get a bit with this. It's kind of like saying, "Are we doing a fresh take on superheroes?" And no, you're not really. I read this type of comic in the 80s with The One and Max Immortal by Rick Veitch, which are well worth checking out. They just weren't as pretty as this, because Rick Veitch gets into the grit, gets into the dirt, but they were absolutely amazing. But this comic, I think, will eventually find its feet and become good. At the moment, artwork 9 out of 10, story 6.57. And then we come to the final issue of Ain't No Grave, number 5, which took ages to come into my shop. So this is by Scotty Young and Jorge Corona. Artwork, as in each issue, has been beautiful. So it's been this mythic fable of this Western outlaw, this female outlaw. She's got a terminal illness, and she journeys to find death to ask him to release her from this terminal illness. Artwork is beautiful. The story flows along at a pace, and then it ends. And after 5 issues, I think, did I enjoy it? I just think about all the four issues before it, and nothing really happens. But did I enjoy it? And I can't answer that. I don't know. I enjoyed the artwork. I enjoyed looking at the layouts and the panel structure. So the artwork gets a 10. It definitely gets a 10. But the story is so threadbare. It could have been done as a one shot. I don't know. I think that's my favourite cartoon with a lot of his projects that he does, especially with Jorge Corona. I know he wants his artwork to shine, but put a bit of meat on the bones, please. Just put a bit of meat on the bones. Artwork 10 out of 10. Story 6 out of 10. And that's it. I'm going to be doing another 2 or 3 videos. Next one I'll be doing a look and review of this. It's a special issue 2000 AD, and this is Nordland Rises, basically from Rogue Troopers universe. The Nords invade all the different universes in the 2000 AD galaxy. So that'll be my next video. Okay, well, hope you've all had good reads. Let me know what you've read, and let me know if you agree with my comments. I'm sure some of them you'll be like, what are you on about? But that's what it's about. You like what you like, and doesn't matter. I'm not right, so you're not wrong. Vice versa. Everybody's got personal opinion, and that's the joy of comics. Okay, bye.